Welcome to Keanvenient Truth.
Hey.
This is Aaliyah.
And Joe.
What's up? I don't
You
know
know
what's happening right now.
Yeah, what's happening is
Oh my god.
fuck.
You were down here the whole time,
Well, I
literally.
forgot to record this part of it. Whatever. Let's do that intro again.
Okay. Sorry. Redo. We got to redo.
All right.
Now? Hey everyone, it's Aaliyah.
And Joe.
Welcome to Keanvenient Truth. Joe's energy seems to be down, if you've realized that, because he's angry with me.
Whatever.
This is Joe being annoyed with me.
I'm not angry. Oh, now you want everybody to know what's going on?
You're annoyed with me, is what you are.
It's all about, because listen, my time is very valuable. So like you just make all these schedules, and I'm like, okay, I have this time in my head, so I'm getting things done, so I can be home at this time. And then I get home, and then you nonchalantly be like, oh, well, actually, it's this time now. And I'm like, so like I could have done other things in the meantime, or what did we do? We ended up going earlier.
Yeah, an hour early.
So, in fact, actually, now that I think about it, yeah, no, I guess I apologize. Because I was thinking, like, for some reason, when you told me the time, I was like, well, I could have been doing whatever else in the meantime instead of just sitting here fucking off for another hour. But in fact, we left an hour earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good that I got home earlier than I thought.
Yep.
And we went bowling, and it was great. But yeah. But then I'm like, earlier today I was like, all right, so we're going to. Oh no! Now I know. Now I know, right? Because we were originally this morning. I said, hey, let's do the podcast before we go bowling, and you
Right.
said yes. So I got home extra early so we could squeeze it in. But then you said we're doing the bowling an hour earlier, which means we couldn't go do the podcast before. And then my brain exploded. That's what happened.
Yeah, you need to chill out.
What do you mean chill out? It's like, all right, fine. I'll try it with you next time. I'll just fucking make up fucking times when you get home because you were doing everything else. And then I'll be like, oh, actually, don't worry about it. We're not doing that anymore. And you'd be so pissed off. You'd be so annoyed.
So first of all, I already apologized to you regarding the switch of the time and not telling you. I apologized earlier to you, took full responsibility. I don't know what else to apologize for besides that, but you still seem to be annoyed with me.
Well, then you were making like, I don't know. You're just like, oh, well then, first off, our daughter, every time she falls asleep in the car, which she did on the way home from bowling, she's a piece of work after that, because she doesn't get the full sleep. This happens to me basically every single day when I pick her up from school, right? And basically, I just bring her upstairs and we just chill out, and we don't even really talk to each other. I actually bring her in her bedroom, and then she doesn't sleep. She just kind of lays there, just kind of waking back up, and then and then I tell her to call me when she wants to come out, and she does, and we hang out.
So why did you get annoyed? What's the...
Because
I let her sleep in the car.
Well, yes, but then she got up and she was still irritable, and then you came upstairs, and it was just like this.
Well, I came upstairs with her, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to go sit down. She was like, no!
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go bring... And then she wasn't speaking. She shut down and went mute.
I know. It's pretty typical.
So I'm still confused as to why it is that you were annoyed with me with that.
Well, then you were like, I mean, this is probably a good topic for parenting, I guess. Then you were like, whatever she wanted, you were doing. Because then it got worse and worse. Because then she was like,
it actually didn't get worse and worse. And
then you're like, yes,
it
master.
Got worse.
Yes, master.
No. First of all, it got worse because I didn't do what she wanted and I put her down, which is when she flipped out because I was like, okay, I'm done. Like if you're not going to talk to me and tell me what it is that you like want to do you want a banana? Do you want a snack? Do you want to go to sleep? Like, what do you want to do? You can say those things. Then I'm not going to keep picking you up. Like, this is ridiculous. So I put her down And then she freaked out and went like a freaking crazy person. That's what happened. So
But
actually,
then
I
what did you
didn't
do
cater.
after she freaked out?
And then I was like, what do you want to do? And then she was just like, oh, and I knew she was tired and stuff and hungry. So, of course, fine. I picked her back up. Sue me. I picked her back up because she is a little 3-year-old who is just trying to
And then
figure
what?
her way.
And then what'd you do?
And then I went into the kitchen and then I said, okay, well, listen, I'm not going to stand here, so I'm going to go to the couch. So I went to the couch with her. We sat on the couch. We hung out. I, just kind of like jumped up with her to kind of like get some rocking movement going on. We were talking and then she was calming down. And once she was calm, then I was like, would you like a snack? And then she said, she didn't say anything. And then I said, do you want pretzels and chocolate hummus? And then she went, mm-hmm. So I said, okay, wait right here. I'll go get it for you. But she wasn't screaming at that point. She was calm. So why are you making it seem like she was screaming and I was like, oh, did you want some of this? Like, that's not how it happened.
And then now she's up there doing what?
She's up there watching Blippi because I went to go take a shower. You were down here, I don't know, jerking off, doing something. And so then I was
getting
like, look,
shit situated.
my mom was taking it easy as she should. She's 71. We just went bowling, right? And so then I was like, I'm going to go take a shower. And I think that it's a good idea then for her to sit here with her little snack. She could watch Blippi, which is an educational show, not about fake dogs talking or anything that you don't like. And I went and took a shower and then came back and got my mom. I'm still confused as to where where it went wrong.
Yeah. No, I got annoyed because then the other plan. This is the second time we had planned on doing the podcast after we got home from bowling, and it just kept getting pushed back. And then Aaliyah calls me from upstairs and is like on my phone, and is like, hey, so my mom is sleeping and I don't think we're gonna do this. And I'm like, I could have done so many things today.
Actually, I didn't say anything. You shut down like a little brat.
Yeah,
I was so quiet.
I was actually trying to be very like whatever about it, and I didn't want to get into any of this shit. So I was just like, okay, bye. And then I was sit down here
right,
and
you were like
stew and get over it.
You were quiet, and then I was like, is he there? Did he hang up? And then you were like, okay, bye. Like so passive aggressive, and I'm like, oh, first of all, what's wrong? Clearly, there's something going on.
Well, do you know what's wrong now, or no? You still understand?
I mean, I get the whole time thing. I'm still confused about why you're so angry about anything else after that. I don't get it.
Well, there was nothing.
The time thing, I get. I get the switching of the time.
That's all. That's it.
But then, why were you still being an asshole to me after I apologized for the time thing?
Because I didn't want to have this conversation on the podcast. I was just like,
well, you know
forget
what?
it. I don't even want to do it anymore.
I know. And then I came down and I was like, I'm ready to do the podcast. You're like, no, I don't want to do it anymore.
Fuck it.
And I'm like,
let's delay some more.
Oh my God. Ridiculous. Well, in the shower, I was thinking about actually having a podcast and focusing on relationship issues, which is why I'm bringing, why I'm bringing this up.
Here we are.
So there you go. It was part of my plan.
Okay. So
Sips tea.
What do you want to talk about then? What's your relationship issues?
My relationship issue is the same that it has been with you, which is the way that you come at me about my health. And I know that sounds crazy because it's a good thing. So I understand that, but it's too much and sometimes it's overstepping. But I feel like you've been doing really well with that. And I appreciate the fact that you haven't been preaching to me or making me feel like I don't know, like a fucking slob that eats like fucking, I don't know, devil dogs all day.
That's all in your head.
It's not. It's actually really what happens. It's wild, guys.
here's a good question, right? Do all right, in a relationship, whether it's ours or any other relationship, or advice you would give somebody else, right?
Mhm.
Do you want your significant other to, and this is after having conversations about whatever topic, hold you accountable?
Yes, I do. However, well, okay, so I would like that. I think that that's a really cool thing to do that, especially if I'm asking for it. But
Right.
if I'm telling you and verbalizing, look, man, like I need you to fall back, like it's too much, like da 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 da, then I would hope that my partner could respect my boundary on that, which you have struggled with up until recently.
Well, we had a very long conversation about it. So have you noticed, and this is throughout our relationship, when we have a really deep conversation about something that is bothering you or bothering me or whatever it is, and I've been a certain particular way, and then we talk about it, like I will immediately change, which I did on this particular scenario, right? Like if we have the real conversation, but if it's like this, like such as with your health stuff, right? You are always putting out information, whether it's verbal or physical cues and stuff like that about your health and how you need to not do this and not do that. And I gotta blah, blah, I gotta get on this. I gotta get on that. But you don't do it sometimes.
Wait, yeah, don't please don't make it seem as though like I think that's my issue with you too is that you'll make things seem as though I'm like literally like not doing like anything and that's a fucking lie. Like I actually do
No,
quite a bit.
I just said like sometimes, and then but when you don't do it, it's like it's this thing
I
like
just
it's
feel like I'm not doing it the way that you would like me to do it, and that's the issue.
yeah, no, it's not even that. You don't have to do it exactly the way I do it. It's about the I think it's about the knowledge base. This is what I've kind of come to the understanding of over the past few like weeks or months is that it's like I have been studying this type of shit for fucking literally no joke like 15 20 years, right? Like slowly accumulating knowledge and information about my health and experimenting with myself. It's like this ongoing thing for many years. You are just starting that over the
Mm-hmm.
past like 3 years or so, 4 years,
For
and and I had to understand that over the past few months. Like I didn't really think about it in those terms, but now I do. And no, you don't have to do it exactly like me, but like to at least know what you're talking about, or know what your goal is, or what you're attempting to do, and why, and the things that you are doing, are they accomplishing the goal, or are they just things that make you look healthy or feel I guess if they make you feel healthy, I guess that's good. But if it's just like things that everybody else is doing,
I don't give
sometimes
a
it's
fuck
not.
about what everybody else is doing.
Well, I mean, just like the more deeper you understand what you're trying to do, such as like oils, right? Like I talk about like let's try not to buy foods with like canola oil or like high fructose corn syrup, all those other things. We don't buy the high fructose corn syrup because over time I've drilled that into your head, and that was
Mm-hmm.
probably and then you don't do that anymore, right? So it's like it's everything, but I don't like to be the one that's like educating you on every single thing, but I just so happen to be the one that has the knowledge base on these things that is right in front of you every fucking day, right?
Yes.
Um,
I mean, you also knew who you were like when we were first together in the beginning, although we were long distance, right? We didn't really like live together and it was but when we did come together, you still had an out at some point. I mean, like, did you
yeah,
notice that I never really like you had to have noticed that I wasn't like so I told you very clearly that I did not work out.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was a smoker when you met me. I mean, my whole life was different.
Yeah, no, I think I saw because, like, I'd say within the first year, right? I saw you take some dramatic changes, and I was like, okay, like even if, like you stopped smoking, And then we went through a period of like not even drinking and stuff like that. And you were drinking the smoothies every day that I was making and all these things. And I was like, okay, she's like into this. And maybe she just never experienced this. So, okay, cool. So there was some like major, like the smoking thing was huge, right? And you never really smoked. You literally stopped like the first like month that we met, really.
Well,
I
I
never
was
even actually saw you smoke, I don't think.
because I knew you didn't smoke and I knew you were health conscious, so I never smoked around you, and I could just control myself and not really because I knew that you didn't like it. But I was still in the beginnings of like not smoking. So like when we first met, let's say like after I left the hotel,
So
you know,
you were like tricking me, really.
after I left the hotel, I was like,
Cuz yeah, that was like a whole day without smoking.
yeah, which I'm fine with. Like I was fine with at that point because I was in my head trying to stop, like trying to cut down. So it wasn't like going a whole day was a big deal, like it probably would have been years prior. But but we were drinking too, and so that's my thing. Like whenever I had a drink, smoking was like huge.
Yeah, so I mean I saw those things and I was like, okay, like we could work with this. This is a good thing. Like I like to
This is
see.
workable.
Well, I enjoy seeing the evolution of somebody,
This is workable.
which is probably why I enjoy our relationship because like we're both you're good at it as well of like allowing me to like evolve and change and do different things and see things in a different perspective and I like watching you evolve and do those things as well. So that wasn't a problem. I think it's just I don't think that you put the same effort in as you did
I
back then.
don't. You're right. That I can agree with. Which I'm like annoyed about because I'm like I know that I can do it. Because I went so hard. I mean, I went so hard, and I'm wondering. I just don't know what happened. Like I don't know. And I think I'm still trying to figure that out. There's so many factors involved. So I think it's like a accumulation of just a lot of stuff. Interesting enough, though, you had mentioned to me that your sister had, I guess, said like, oh, well, something about like early menopause. And I was thinking about that actually in the car ride over here.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, I wonder if one of the things that maybe has also been going on with me is maybe I've actually been in like an early menopause situation. And I have no idea because sadly to say, I have not been to the gynecologist since we moved here. And it's been like a year. So I have to go. And so I'm wondering if also that could be a factor. I don't know. I mean,
Could be. I mean,
I am
yeah.
41. When does early menopause hit? I have no idea.
Talk to my sister. She'll tell you because she was the first person I ever even heard talk about this like premenopausal thing where these little hints of like, you know, whatever it is that goes with the menopause. But
Right.
it's like little bits. They just start adding up, and it's more and more over
I
the
know.
course
I'm
of like
wondering.
5
I'm
years.
wondering if like that could also be. So I really do need to get that checked out. It could be so many things.
Yeah. Well, I think like you in the beginning of our relationship, at least for me, in those terms of like health.
So you tricked me. I
Right,
got you,
yeah,
bitch.
gotcha, bitch.
Gotcha, bitch.
In terms of health, you set the bar so high for me. I'm like, fuck, this chick can do anything, right? And then now you've just kind of
Well, because now you see what I can do.
yeah. So I'm like, that's another part of it.
Yeah.
I know you can fucking do way harder things than you're doing right now.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why aren't you doing it? So then that becomes, then you get defensive, and because you're not in the right space to, whatever, be able to push yourself through things or something, and then I come across
I'm
as
so
this
complicated.
fucking
Sometimes I feel it must be actually quite confusing now that I'm thinking about it. Because 1 minute I'm like doing this like water journey and I'm spending 10 minutes in the freaking 50
Right.
degree like cold plunge, and I'm like meditating and I could do it in that moment. And then the next minute I'm like,
yeah, that was good enough.
yeah, right. Or like I'm just like I'm gonna I don't know sneak something gluten-y even though I shouldn't have gluten. It's just like all these
Right.
like little things. So I could see how like 1 minute I can seem as though it's like whoa she could really do some shit, and then the next minute you're like I'm confused.
Yeah, let's talk about all those. So you quit smoking, you quit drinking
Mm-hmm.
for a long time, and then now we just whatever. And then you also essentially put your colitis into remission
Without medication.
without medication
Mm-hmm.
because of your diet, and you were on a strict diet for several months. Like, those are crazy. And you did all that within a year,
Yeah.
right? So now it's like, I'm like, oh, you can't stop yourself from fucking eating gluten. You fucking did it for like 6 months, no problem. You know?
Right. Or like you can't stop yourself from which I actually don't snack at night anymore. Now I'm like intermittent fasting. So, but
But even that you have excuses for. Like you're not even intermittent fasting. I'm gonna tell you right now because on Friday we went to
oh, I
the
had
thing,
oh,
and you had a
fine,
fucking
fine.
piece of
That's
candy
true.
at like 8 o'clock at night or whatever.
That's true. I was
It was
driving.
the worst thing.
I was driving 57 minutes from Rhode Island to Mohegan Sun, and it was dark, and I was down those windy roads where a deer could pop out at any second. I needed to be focused.
I would have rather you just had a fucking cup of coffee.
And caffeine messes up. Well, I could have had decaf, but that wouldn't have done anything.
I would have rather you just had a regular cup of coffee if you wanted to just stay awake.
Oh my god, what is my problem?
You came on here wanting to fucking rip into me, huh?
I don't understand.
And I'm just telling the truth here.
Well, now I'm seeing where you're coming from of how confusing it could be, which is why you get annoyed because you're probably confused, and then you're like, "What the fuck?" And so that makes sense to me.
But in your defense, I totally get that. All right, you had a kid for one. That's
Yeah, but that was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, that sets a lot of things into to motion, right? And that could have triggered this maybe premenopausal thing. I mean, you even had the post.
I had postpartum depression, so I don't know if that has,
and it seems like ever since then, you kind of tried to ramp up a little bit right after you had Soul, and then it kind of.
I feel like I was doing great, like after I had Soul, like I was working out, I was like really like and we were living in Florida still. I feel like Florida also gave me this extra level of motivation because there's nothing to hide behind in terms of like clothes.
Yeah.
Like I was always wearing like something fitting, something like like it's hot as shit out there, and everyone's so just Florida, like everyone's so South Florida that it was just like so it's like I got caught up, like with just like the vibe out there that it's like I can't slack off. Like I live in fucking Miami, like but then it's like I swear it's like the minute I came out here, I don't know what it was. It's like
So then that leads me to believe that it's really not about you, and you do care what other people think.
no, but it is because my thing is meaning it's not about other people. I think for me, I get caught. See, I don't care what other people think about me in a sense where, like, for example, like out here in Rhode Island, I don't care what anybody thinks about me. We're in Rhode Island. I don't know if that's like
I don't know what that means.
I know. I guess I'm throwing shade at Rhode Island, I guess, or something like that, right? But I'm like, eh. But if I was slacking off doing the same shit out here in Florida,
because people would maybe
then I would be
judge
like,
you, which you care
then I
about
would be like, well, see, no, I wouldn't care that if they would judge me. It's in my own head. In my own mind, I'm like, there is no fucking way that I could live the way that I live out here in fucking Florida, okay, and fucking go out looking like fucking. There's no fucking way. Like shit has to be on motherfucking point. You know what I'm saying?
Why doesn't it
for
have to be on
myself
point here?
though? Like for myself here, I'm like,
why doesn't it have to be on point?
because I'm already on point out here. Are you? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what? Like I'm already like for the level that I'm at in terms of what I'm doing. It's like I'm still on point.
Is it like
it's almost? This is so fucked up. I feel so bad saying this, but I almost feel like the bar is set so high in South Florida that I'm like, shit. Like I gotta really like.
This is a good.
Whereas out here, it's like. I don't think the bar is set that high as superficial fucking Florida. Miami, Florida.
I mean, that's all in your head, right?
That's
So
what I'm saying. It's my own. That's what I'm saying. It's my own thing with myself.
Right. Hold on. I just have to do this. Sorry. I know you hate it when I fuck with this mic, but. Sorry.
You didn't even
I'm still adjusting because
you didn't even do
last
anything.
podcast we fucking the audio was a little bit off. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, so that's all obviously in your head, but like the bar, I get it. It's because people out here, I think, because we get the cold weather and stuff like that, it's a subconscious thing that people just kind of, because nobody's like going out as much and you're not like showing yourself off or whatever. So like
We also
it's
don't
almost
live
like
in. I
hibernating.
also want to say like there's a difference too. Like we also don't live like we live in Coesit / East Greenwich / Warwick / whatever the fuck it is, right?
Hmm.
And so and so I feel like we're not in a city. Like I feel like
Yeah,
if we were in
yeah.
Providence, it would be a little
Like
different.
fashion trends and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
Nobody gives
feel
a
like
fuck
there's
out
like
here, really.
out here, I feel like it's a very different energy versus if I was in Providence, it would be a little more like, all right.
See, this is probably another thing that I also have more experience in than you, because I've
Well,
lived
you're from
here,
here.
and I know what it's like, and I know what Miami's like, and I know and I know what these different cities are like because I've lived in different areas or whatever, and and somewhere along the line, I probably was thinking like you, but then now I'm just like I set my own bar for myself no matter where the fuck I am. And that's just a line that I don't fucking cross. It's for my own health. It's for
Like
myself.
I also want to be clear too because I want to like make sure that I'm like making myself
Oh, you
as
want to
clear as I
clear some
possibly
stuff
can.
up, Kanye? You want to clear
Well,
some stuff up,
I
Kanye?
do. Well, it's because like for example, this is not to say that nobody out here has the bar set, okay? Like so, but it's just limited. Meaning like
Right.
when I go out, right? Like for example, I went to some place to get coffee the other day, right? So when I went there, I'm standing in line just waiting for my tea, right? And this woman comes in, like outfit on like looking like she just like came out of like some type of urban like she just looks so dope
Mm-hmm.
with her outfit. She had the fur, she had this, she had that. She was like heels, everything. I was like, damn.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, it's like, I don't know, like 9 something in the morning. And I'm like, where the fuck is she going?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is like her job requires that she dress like this, right? But so it's so rare that I see that stuff that when I do see it, I'm like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? And then it reminds me because I remember looking at her being like, man, I totally like need to really ramp up my shit because I used to dress like this all the time. The single me used to dress like this. Single me even like without you, like without being in a relationship, like
Well, it's also
constantly.
inspiring, right? To see somebody that they're fit. They got
I
their
was just
clothes
like,
together.
yes,
They're doing
bitch.
shit. You know.
Yeah, she really. And so then today I was getting rid of some clothes and saw that I had like things that I'm like, why, Aaliyah?
You could probably do a lot more than whatever
Yeah,
you
I
that one
know.
thing
I'm
of
like,
clothes.
I don't even need that. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, why are
Mm.
you holding on to this? Like, get rid of this. This is so fucking frumpy. This is not you. Like, come on. Like, get your shit back. And so I threw some stuff away.
Listen, it all started with that fucking bear sweatsuit last winter. I told you about that shit. I told you. And you're like, no, it's so cozy and everybody wears sweatpants out here. I'm like, all right, I'll see you next year.
That's a cozy sweatsuit. I don't even know where that is. Did you throw it away?
No.
Did you sneakily threw it away?
Throw any
I
shit.
don't know where it
If
is.
anything, I burn it.
Oh my God.
No. Um, I get it, but I think maybe it's time to shift that thought process to just making yourself be that person that is inspiring others and inspire yourself and push yourself to that highest fucking
Yeah.
level as possible.
You know what it is? I think that I know for a fact that at this point of my life, I'm all about comfort. And I know that for a fact. And that I'm not going to budge on. I don't
Comfort,
care.
what do you mean?
Comfort. I want to be comfortable. I no longer want to feel uncomfortable in what I'm wearing. So like when I was, let's say, single.
You're saying clothes.
Yeah, I'm saying clothes and style
Okay,
and all that
not
stuff.
like just in life of like just
No, I'm just saying
chilling.
clothes and
Okay.
everything. Like I just want to be comfortable, you know?
All right.
So like a lot of the times, a lot of the reason why I also switched my like style is because I can't even fathom wearing heels anymore. I'm like, heels, no, can't do it. Fuck that. My feet are gonna hurt. I'm not into it. Like tight jeans, I could only probably do it for like a certain amount of hours, and then I can't wait to get home and fucking take it
Yeah, I
off.
mean, nobody really does that all the time, but
People do, Joe.
yeah.
People fucking do. And I'm like, I don't know how, like, I just can't anymore. I can't. So my thing is I have to find an in between, and I'm still trying to figure that out style wise of what that is for me.
This is an interesting conversation when it comes to like clothes and stuff. We'll get back to health in a little bit, but
Well, my health, I mean, this is an ongoing battle. Like, I'm still like slowly trucking away with that, doing stuff.
there's two things. Oh no, two things. Yes, two things that I've always said since I was like in my teens that I was going to monitor throughout my life. And it was, when is the point where people stop listening to new music, right? And then the second one was, when is the point where people stop wearing like new trendy clothes? Like at like what age is that? And what I found out is not a particular age, but it seems to be more of like, when you settle into that, you have kids and you're married and you have your a couples you hang out with every once in a while, you drink wine, and then you're just like settled into your little
Life, like
world, right? And then you just don't give a fuck anymore. That's when that happens, right? And I refuse. Like literally I started thinking about this since I was like 16. And I said, I will never be that. So it's been many, many years since then. And I still think about that shit all the time. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, though, by the way, that if that's what you do and you want, I just personally can't, I can't get in a rut with anything, whether it's a good rut or a bad rut or clothes or music, anything. I will always like snap out of whatever the fucking shit that I'm in.
You know what? Another thought that I had in terms of just my shift of like style wise and just like comfort and stuff is my whole life prior to meeting you. This is now we're getting into a good conversation.
Okay.
My whole life prior to meeting you. So first of all, when I was younger, I had very low self-esteem. It never really appeared that I did, but now
Really?
hindsight looking back on it and actually having done the work on myself, I had really low self-esteem. But I valued my external so much, and so I always pushed with that, so like clothes and like what I look like and skinny and da da da
But
da
weren't
and
you
all
like
this stuff.
chubby when you were a little kid?
That was when I was like in like elementary,
Little,
middle school. Like I'm
little.
talking like high school on, like I was like thin. I'm 5'9". I weighed 120 for God's sakes. I was like a fucking twig. So I got by on that with everything, like everything. And that lasted a really fucking long time because I had nothing to really settle down for, you right? Like I was young, single, blah, 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 college, da, da, and so my whole life it was that. Also, I never really felt as though people truly like people who I like ended up being with in relationships. I never really feel well. I felt in the moment because I didn't know anything, but now looking back on it, I don't really believe that the people that I gravitated to and the people who I ended up being in relationships with really actually valued me for me. I think it was more of like external and like, I used to be really, really hot, I guess, when I was younger. I feel like I'm not as hot
Used
as
to be.
I
Come
feel
on.
I'm not as hot as I was when I was younger, but man, like so I feel like that was a focus of lots of things, and it really wasn't until I met you really that I kind of started to like really feel like, oh wow, like someone actually like it's like really beyond looks. Like you actually really see me. Like I felt like no one really saw me, Like
Yeah.
really saw me. You see me and you've always seen me since I first met you. And so I think that I've I've gotten so used to that and I've kind of settled into this life with you of like kind of almost feeling like, oh, like thank God I don't have to like be this like makeup and this and that and da 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 because that's how I always was, you know? And I can just like be who I am, you know, which is what I've always wanted and which is what I was looking for so long. It's just it was never it was just people always just gravitated I think to just my looks and they never really saw me. And so I think that's probably a piece of it too as I reflect
Yeah, for sure.
and process out loud.
I think it's also what I notice is you are a very caring person and you want to help everybody, which is why you do the work that you do. But you would much rather help somebody else than help yourself to a certain extent. To that, like when it really comes down to it, you
To
know
a
what I'm
certain
saying?
extent, I mean that's my codependency coming in at times. So yeah, but yeah, to a certain extent. I mean now I have like serious boundaries with that shit. But
Yeah. But I
in
mean, when it comes
before I
to
met
like,
you, forget about it.
maybe that's a portion of like what's going on here too, with like,
I get so wrapped up.
you'll find a way to like look at somebody else. Oh, this person needs more of my time or something like that
Well, it's
than
always
me
like I'll like yeah.
working out for an hour,
Yeah, I mean, I'll yeah,
or whatever.
exactly. Like, well, because yeah, especially with work, I'm like, oh, someone's got because of my.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's like what I signed up for, also.
No, I get it. And it makes sense. I think it's just like, creating a space for you,
But it gives,
you
yeah,
know, which I think you were really good at doing that first year that we met. Obviously, I mean, we had way less responsibilities. We didn't have a kid. You did work way more than you even work now, and you still squeezed all that shit
I
in.
worked like 6, 7 days a week. It was crazy.
Yeah, but you were still able to do that,
I
do
know.
accomplish all those things. You know what I'm
I
saying?
was so
So,
motivated.
so now probably you're probably just as
I'm tired.
busy. Yeah, I
I think
know.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I think having also soul, right? Like having soul, also kind of like definitely added to just some exhaustion.
Yeah.
And so to get myself really more like, okay, I spent all this time investing in, other things and now I have to invest in myself, which I want to do. It's not like I don't. It's just like, so like it's so hard. It's a constant battle. It really is.
It is, and it doesn't get easier as you get older. I
The
remember
one
you.
thing I'm really investing in right now is this fucking cold plunge. I'm like obsessed with it.
Yeah, you're into that.
Into it.
Um, what I was gonna say. Oh, what the fuck was I just gonna say? Yeah, no, it doesn't get any easier. And I remember not that long ago, a few years back, you were like, oh, I used to just be able to eat whatever I wanted and blah
Yeah.
blah blah. And you were still, when you were saying this, you were still like, I could. That's how it still is. Like
No, I
this
don't
is a
believe
couple
that
years
anymore.
back.
I don't believe that anymore.
Maybe this
When I
was
first met you, prior to me being pregnant and having experienced that, I literally could eat anything and never go up in weight. Like
right.
it was like I stayed the same weight for God knows how long. So in my mind, I was always like, nah, like my body's gonna stay. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
this, and it wasn't. And then you kept telling me you were like, okay, after you have a baby, da, da, da. And I was like,
Yeah.
psh, what? And it wasn't until I went through it, and then I was like, what the fuck is
Right.
this?
All right. All right. Yeah, and then also with your age, I don't ever want to go to the gym. I don't ever want to go to yoga. I don't ever want to go in the cold plunge. I don't ever want to turn that fucking cold water on every fucking night when I take a goddamn shower for 30 seconds. I do not want to do any of it. It's like, fuck this shit. But that's the mental boundary that you have to push through, and it gets harder and harder as you get older. So you either decide that that's what you want to do or you don't, I guess, and you're comfortable where you are. But that's the other thing too. Everybody thinks like, okay, I'm comfortable here. I just do just enough to maintain whatever I'm at right now. But your body doesn't give a fuck about that. It's like it's still deteriorating. We're dying every day, you know, in some way, shape, or form, cellular. We are dying, and it keeps getting worse. So you could be eating something or being a certain amount of, working out or whatever, but that has to increase as you get older
Yeah.
because you're decreasing physically,
Right, right,
right?
right, right,
So it
right.
actually gets harder But that's why you have to have the mental fortitude to fucking push through that shit. Which, once again, I know you have it because you can sit in a goddamn cold plunge for 10 minutes. That's the hardest
I
shit.
know. I mean, I
Means
know I have it too. I think it's just I'm so like when I was just telling my mom because she looked at the tea drawer that she like organized for us,
uh-huh.
right? And she was like, "Oh my God, I'm so proud of you. You kept it so clean." And I'm like, "Mom, when I put my mind to do something and I have it in my head, understand, like, I'm not to be fucking underestimated. Like,
Mm,
I can literally do anything I fucking put my mind to, you know? Like, that I know for a fact.
for sure.
It's just a matter of just like how badly I want to do something, you know? Like right now I want to keep my fucking car clean, so it's fucking clean.
Right.
You know?
Well, I always
Like,
try and like see this is where I think we also like work really well together, but we have to allow each other to play certain roles, right? Like you help me stay present and focus on the day-to-day shit because I am always thinking big picture and what's going on down the road and whatever, but I always got to come back. You need to see the big picture sometimes and you need to see down the road.
yeah, I just focus on the here and now,
Right.
present.
So I actually, for the most part, I'm getting better, I hope, allow you to tell me things and say, listen, like, we don't have to worry about fucking 3 months from now. Let's just like chill right here. Look, everything is great. And I say, yes, you're right. Okay. And then, right. In return, you also have to do the other thing where I say, listen, in 5 years from now, this is not going to be, you think it's hard right now, 5 years is going to be even harder.
I
In 10
know.
years, it's going to be even harder. So like,
I think the future like overwhelms me.
yeah.
Like when I think too far ahead, I'm like, oh, it's just too much. This is why I just focus on like what's happening now.
Right. And then I know that. So like, I just try and like plant seeds in there, like get you like thinking about that. But then I know you're not going to think about it for very long.
Mhm.
And then I try to bring it down to like, okay, this is all you have to do just every day, consistency, you know? And that's really all it's about, consistency. And then when I see you, then you're like a week ago, you're like, oh, I'm doing intermediate fasting. And then I see you like at least 2 times in the past week breaking that, but not saying anything.
When did I break it?
Friday night for sure.
Piece of
And
fucking
then,
candy.
like 2 nights before that, you did.
What did I do?
You definitely did. At least there was another time. I don't know, but I don't know what the fuck it was, but you definitely did. You've broken it at least 2 times in the
I have to
past.
tell you though, since you haven't been saying anything, I've been seeing things more on my own, which I actually like. Everyone works differently. My brain works differently from yours. I have to like go through something on my own and then just like figure like I'm very much like go through it, experience
Mm.
space, and then I'm like, okay, I can catch it as I you know?
I know
But
that
when
you know how
someone's like coming at me all the time, I'm like,
babe, you know how
oh, no.
excruciating that is for someone like me to watch? Like it's like a rerun. Like I already saw it. I see what's happening. And I'm like, I gotta watch this fucking show again? Like, okay.
Yes, because I will get it. I always do.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what worries me is like down the road when we're like older, and I'm trying to, who knows? Hopefully, you'll have developed some mental consistency and strength to like go through it, so it won't be like this. But I think about like if we're like 70, 80 years old, and like I'm telling you, the things that you're eating every fucking like I could just envision this in my head, right? The things you're eating every day, this has cancer, this is gonna cause cancer in your body, blah blah blah. And then you're just like, well, I'll find out. I could figure it out myself when I get there. I got to experience it myself. And I'm like, you're gonna experience death and then
I
come
would
back and
hope
then fucking
I would
redo it.
I would hope that by 80 I'm not like
I would hope so. This is what I'm praying for. Listen, that's how far into the
I
future I'm
would
fucking
hope
thinking.
that by 80 I'm like I've already figured all that out and I'm like, all
I mean,
right.
how many times, even on this podcast, I've been like, listen, You gotta stay healthy for soul for when we get older and we're older parents and we gotta do things like that's what I'm fucking thinking of, like crazy psycho fucking 40 years from now. But like now is the time to prevent those things from happening and to develop the eating habits and then the physical, activities and whatever the fuck you're doing, but you got to stay consistent with it. We were fucking flossing our teeth this morning, right? And I was like, we got to do this for like another fucking
I
40,
know.
50
A
years.
routine, it takes forever.
Like, we're going to be doing this. I don't even know how many days or hours that fucking is, but it's a lot, right? But yeah, and that's overwhelming for you. But don't worry, I'm thinking about it.
I know you are. That's for sure. Well, I mean, just know that I see you, I hear you.
Another thing I just realized in this conversation, and a little probably in the past couple of days too, is that this is what I've done. This is what I did that whole first year with you. Like I saw all the shit. I saw the shit that's happening right now, right? But well, no. I mean, I didn't see it. Like I had a feeling that after you had our daughter, then it was going to be hard to get back on the horse because you weren't staying consistent prior to having the kid. So, anyways, but
Well, I was consistent.
right
Prior to getting pregnant, I
prior
was
to getting
consistent.
pregnant, but
When I got
I'm
pregnant,
saying when you got pregnant, I was always telling you.
I feel like I actually tried. I
You
feel
did.
like I
You
was
did
doing
for a little
pretty.
bit, and then I think towards the end you were just kind of
Well,
like, I
towards
need to
the end, I
chill.
was carrying a whole freaking
No, I get
human
it. I get
being.
it. So I
I
didn't.
was
I
like,
didn't
fuck
say anything.
this.
But there's some moms out there. They were fucking working out until
There's
like the
some
last
moms
day.
are. Yeah, there's some moms that do. Good. Good for them.
And then they snap right back into it once they have the baby. It's this whole like thing. Anyways, but I was that whole like first year we were together. I basically did just like kind of sit back and we'd have conversations and I was like watching it, but I had there was first I trusted that you were going to do it because you had already done large things that took a lot of mental toughness to get through. So now I think it's like, to be honest, and I've talked about this with you a couple times, is it's like I think there's almost like a lack of trust when it comes to that stuff. But it's not like you're lying to me, but it's like almost like you're lying to yourself almost.
About what? I'm confused.
When it comes to whether you're going to commit to something or not, right? So like.
No, I don't think
like, okay, all right. Oh, you're gonna start this thing, okay? And I just sit back and I like watch, but I'm
don't
like
think
I can't
lie to
watch anymore.
So this is what's going on. I don't think I lie to myself. I think in that moment, this is so funny because I tell people this who I work with. I think in that moment, I believe.
I think you do too.
I'm actually going to. So sometimes I'll tell people is like, I believe that you believe that you're going to do XYZ. That's like someone saying that to me in that moment. Like because in that moment, I really do believe that I'm like, I'm going to do, and then some things stick and some things don't. It just depends on like what I'm like really, like what my brain is really stimulated by or really into or really like, and then I just go with.
Man, it's so crazy like how like being in a relationship, because I do feel as though, at least for sure in the past like 6 months, I've been kind of like almost like negative Nancy, not negative Nancy, but just like kind of, I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, I'm like, all right, well, you almost kind of created it, but it's not your fault because I should have control over like whether I want to be negative or not, and, but it is kind of like we play off of each other, right? So if you're being inconsistent with things and you're saying that you're going to, but then you don't, and then that happens time and time again, then I'm just like, then I just become like, okay, whatever, all right, but like I care a lot about you and I want you to be healthy. So then it's like it's this catch-22 where like I got to tell her, but I know what she's gonna be defensive about it, but I don't give a fuck because it's about her health. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And and I don't want to be up your ass, and I really shouldn't be up your ass, and obviously me being up your ass does nothing. But the alternative is me sitting back and watching the show, which is extremely frustrating for me. But that is what I have been doing, and it seems to be working because that's what I was doing in the first place when we first met.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was
but
great.
I think without some, probably not all of the conversations, but without at least some conversations, then it maybe what the fuck is this?
I thought all the bugs should be dead right now.
There is a
I'm so
bug in
confused. Yeah.
But I think I lost track of what I was saying. I don't. I totally forgot what I was saying. What was I saying?
I don't know.
You weren't listening.
I was though. Like in that moment, I
Yeah.
was, and then it was like when the bug came, I also got distracted.
Dude, this is you and I. We get into these conversations where like sometimes we go so deep that we don't even know where we began. You ever notice that?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what basically Kanye does, but I think he just keeps going and like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
just like
And I
whereas
like I
we'll
would
just
literally
stop
have
and
to
be like, wait, we're on a whole.
we would literally have to go back and rewatch this podcast to
Yeah.
understand what the fuck we're saying. But
was
we're just talking about I was talking about the your consistency and me being letting you just like watch the show. I just got to like watch the
did,
show.
right.
Oh yeah, but then we could have probably done without some of the conversations, and I could sit back and watch a show and you would be doing exactly what you're doing. But if we had none of the conversations,
No, we can't have none of them. That's just
right,
then we have to have.
and I think that that's maybe where we're at, right? Like where I need to be okay at some point. We have enough conversations, and I have to say, all right, at this point, she knows.
Right. So this is what I've been telling you.
Right.
Where it's like
I don't know when
I
that
don't
point
need
is
to.
sometimes.
I don't need like if we've already had several conversations about something. At that point I do know. I know it. Like I know everything. Like I know. It's just a matter of me actually taking initiative and doing something at that point. By hearing you tell me the same shit that you already told me over and over again 10,000 other times is not doing anything more in that moment. Like now at that point, that's when you surrender and go, you know what? I've already said XYZ. I've said it to her several thousand times. Like at this point now, it's just really like on her.
But isn't it nice, like when we had a conversation a few weeks ago? I think it was even on the podcast, right? Where I said,
Yeah.
okay, I just won't say anything till January, right?
Yeah, and I was like, don't say, yeah.
We have one conversation, and I was pretty much like that for the most part. I
For the
mean,
most part,
there was
yeah.
a couple times here and there, but isn't that nice when we have one conversation? Because now,
Well,
if I
yeah,
have
I
one
mean,
conversation,
Do you know how long ago that took, though? I mean, I've been telling you that forever. And for some reason, it
But
took
that
that
was
day,
like-
that conversation.
that was like an in-depth conversation? Like
We've
we're
had
having
in-depth
right now.
conversations about that. Totally. And I've told you the same thing, which is to back off.
Yeah, but you know, I guess so. I don't know. But now, after this conversation, I feel like we can be like, you can reassure me by saying, listen, I hear you. I've heard you. We've had enough conversations. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I know what to do.
All right. I
Right.
hope this works. 'Cause
And
we've
I
done this
will-
before. I'm just saying. And
I will
and
shut
you
the
never,
fuck up.
and you didn't. So
I will
just
shut the
wanna
fuck
see.
up, but if I see you not doing what the fuck we talked about, I'm not going to shut the fuck up. That's a pretty good deal, I think.
But you don't know everything that I'm doing.
Why don't you tell me?
Well, because I'm just like living my life too. I'm just like going about doing shit. Like, I'm telling you like everything I like every move I make, you know?
If we have a serious conversation about it, I would assume that, like, you
Oh,
know.
during those times, yeah, okay. All right. Let's see how this goes.
Because, listen, you know I have the capability of, like, not being up your ass about things, right?
Yeah, it's great.
Right. So this is it. This is the thing. It's like I need to have reassurance and a commitment from you so I can trust that whatever conversation we're having, okay, you got it now. You got this handled. You don't need me to fucking help you along the way. Okay, fine. Let's see. Let's watch the show. And I love the show. Sometimes. I
I
love the
mean,
show when it's going in the direction that we talked about.
but you
I
should
don't like
always
it when I see it like going the other way, and I'm just like, you want to reach into the TV.
You should also trust by now, though, that if I really need help, then I will always ask you. Because in the serious moments, like I've come to him and been like, I need your help because I'm not going to be able to do it without. Like I've done that before.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. The food thing, you know where I'm going to tell you right now, this is where the food thing really intensified for me, where I
I
couldn't
have to
just let
get
it
so
go.
much more serious on it though, because my arthritis is so bad right now on my wrists, and
All
I
right.
know it's because I've just like slacked off.
Well,
a
we got to
little
go.
bit
We got
with-
to get.
Yeah.
Hold on. Is that what you're saying? You're rushing?
No, I'm not rushing, but we do have to get going soon.
Okay. Oh, you were talking about it. All right.
I was connecting that to food. You were saying
Oh.
health, and I was saying I really need to tighten up with like being as strict as I was before with myself because it's like, and you're right. Like I do, it's like it takes me so long to just like be like, okay, because I'm
excruciating.
literally like going through, and I already know the cycle.
I know.
I eat gluten, I eat dairy, eventually I drink alcohol, eventually my arthritis flames up.
Right.
It's literally the same thing. But what happens in my head, because the mind is so fucking just like we can easily like, manipulate ourselves, right? When my arthritis isn't inflamed, right? And it's gone, right? And everything's okay, then I'm like, life is
no
grand,
problem.
right? And then I just like forget about it because I'm like, everything's great. And then I'm like, oh, everything's been great. I could have
Glass of wine.
a glass of wine, or I can have like a gluten-y, I don't know, cupcake one day. It's just one, and then bam, here we are now weeks later. Because again, I haven't had a flare up in so long.
Well, you just had a beer like 2 nights ago.
Well, but wait, it's before that. I think this is everything from like Thanksgiving, everything now catching up with me because I have not had arthritis pain in so long. But Thanksgiving, that's where that was the beginning of just like, I went hard.
I
And
watched
now I'm
that.
literally-
That
now
was
I'm
the
literally
show.
in so much pain right now.
So now you could see through my eyes the show that I was watching the whole fucking time, right? It's
Oh my
like,
God, I'm so annoying.
yes. So where I was getting at is like where it really, I guess, was really becoming very conflicting in my mind when it came to like health and food was when like with our daughter, with Soul.
Oh,
Because you're with her half the time, I'm with her half the time, and I'm just like, okay, fine. So if Aaliyah wants to be inflamed and do whatever. If I have to watch that show, I'll watch that show. I cannot watch the fucking show with my kid. I can't. Especially at this age, it's like this is where we're teaching her about all the things to do right and healthy and
Right.
blah 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 blah. So, and then this is where I get back to the, your, and I don't mean to say it in like some shitty way, but it's a lack of education on
on food? No,
food
I'm
and
so
health
ignorant
and
to that.
stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So then I try to like attach it to, hey, for Soul, it's for our daughter, and like, we need to have a healthier kid than we were, And it's like, I feel like almost sometimes doesn't sink in. And maybe we just have to have a really deep conversation about that. And it's like, because and then you're still making the
Do you know what
pancakes
I
with the fucking butter. And then she gets these bumps on her arms and her back and her face breaks out. And I'm like, why do you keep giving it to her? And then,
Well, it's the pancakes, not the butter. The butter that we have is
no, the milk
the milk
inside
in the pancakes that we threw away.
Right, but it took you
It
giving
took a
it to
long
her like
time, I
5
know, I
fucking
know, it's like,
times,
why
and this
the
is why I'm like.
fuck?
But
You
do
know
you
what?
see the frustration?
No, I do. I saw a post today, and then we can wrap up because
Yeah.
you have to go. But I saw a post today on Instagram. It was just like I don't remember the whole thing and how it really was structured, but it said like your relationship with food or view of food or whatever in health is also completely based on like psychology. So basically they're saying that there's a lot of psychology behind how you look at food, right? And just like your perspective and what you do with it, et cetera, and just health. And that's so true. And so I think I do have to dive into that more just with my own work and really get to the bottom of like what is the, like where is the, like I know it's obviously like in a simple nutshell version from childhood and growing up. My parents blah 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 blah. They didn't really like I get that. But there's definitely more behind it psychology wise that I'm going to dive into and kind of understand why it is that because even with Soul, I have the same mentality where like, okay, she'll be fine. She won't have any bumps on her skin or whatever. And I'm like, all right, everything's good.
Yeah,
And
now
I
you can
forget
cheat.
just like, right. And I'm like, all right, now we can have a cheat day and I'll cheat. And then she has like these little bumps. And then I'm like, and then I feel so bad. And it's the same thing. So I have to dig into
But
this.
see what I'm saying? Like that's like
No, I hear
you'll go
you.
to that point and then like that's the show I have
Yeah.
to watch, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
And I'm like, why do we have to watch the show? You already know.
I know. It's, yeah.
Ugh.
I get it now. I actually really get it.
Well, I
I,
appreciate
I don't know
that.
why it's taken this long
I
for
don't know
me.
either.
Because it's like, now we don't have to go to couples therapy to talk about this shit.
Yeah.
Now we just figured it out.
Yeah, thanks guys.
The only thing that Joe and I argue about is this. And so I was like, clearly we need to see someone objective to fucking, but we literally just hashed this out. And now I see so clearly.
More so than like we probably just had this conversation like a couple days ago, like a week ago.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think that I don't know what it is. It's like again, it's what I tell like for example, I'm going to relate this to like there's a reason why treatment facilities all around the world for drugs, alcohol, there's a reason why that no matter where you go, you can go to a treatment facility in fucking Alaska, you can go to one in California, you can go to one in Florida, one here, and everyone's saying the same shit. Meaning all the clinicians, all the groups, everything is all, you're not going to hear anything that's fucking like new information. It's all the same shit. It's being said differently, but it's all the same information. It's all the same shit. And there's a reason why it is that it's like that. There's a reason why it is that no matter where you go, you're going to hear therapists from around the world tell you all the same shit. They're just going to say it differently. There's a reason why all the information's the same when it comes, right? It's just said differently. But we have to hear it. Sometimes we have to hear it over and over and over and over again. And sometimes it just takes like one day, one time, from one person to just say it in a different way that they've said it before or in a whole new voice, something that just all that time that you've been hearing it, it just clicks. And so I just experienced that.
So are you saying me being consistently annoying about things and repeating myself over and over again are a good thing?
I'm not saying it's a good thing. I think that your approach does need to be worked on, but I do understand where you're coming from. I can empathize more and put myself in your shoes and really actually get it now. So that, yeah.
It's also too, I think sometimes when we have some of these conversations, it's like, you know, we got people at the house or like Soul's running around or, your mom's here
Yeah.
and stuff. And we don't like, this was a straight hour of just sitting here. Right.
Yep.
So it's also like this environment, I think too. Yeah, no, I feel good about things, I think. I mean, listen, I've heard you've said, I think this is where like now I'm like, I have this like almost PTSD of like
Now you
trusting
just,
what
well, it's
like
just
you're
trust
gonna
because,
say.
yeah, it's
And
just
I just,
consistent.
but I have to trust and just step back and be like, okay.
I've never said what I said just now to you before, though.
No, and I like it. It sounds great.
But now I
See,
get
and
it.
then this is like the negative, like I'm not trying to be, but I'm like okay,
We'll see what
all
happens.
right, yeah.
Right, yeah.
You know?
Well, I definitely think what this conversation, just to be clear, will definitely do is it'll help me to become less like annoyed and defensive with you in those moments because now I actually do see it from your eyes. That's what I believe will happen more so of. In terms of like the action pieces of it that I have to take, that's something that I definitely have to like, work on more within myself. But I do think that my reaction to you will be different.
Well,
That
that'll
I
be
can say.
great, and then that'll probably calm the way that I come at you about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's like the fifth time I've said something about it that week, I'm like, what the fuck? What the
Annoyed,
and,
yeah.
and then you're just like defensive, and it becomes this whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So okay, we'll see. Let's see. We'll keep you guys updated.
Yeah. Keep you keep you posted. I don't know.
It's I do have to say though, to your defense again, like you're not like you're not eating fucking candy all the time. You've actually significantly come back on your
Sugar.
treats.
Hmm.
Yeah, because you used to have like chocolates and stuff all the
All the
time.
time.
So that is kind of going out the window. But whenever you do get that opportunity, whether it's a holiday or
I
whatever,
go
you fucking
hard.
go to town.
Hard.
And then I kind of just like, all right, well, now I got to watch the fucking show again.
I know. Like fucking Christmas is
But that
coming.
that it fucks you up. You're just one of those people. It's like almost like, and it's not like how like an addict like that's addicted to whatever drugs or
Mm-hmm.
whatever
Mm-hmm.
if they go 3 years without having shit and then they have one time it's on that's almost what it's like with you with like sugar and like the
It's not
gluten
almost,
and
it is.
yeah
I mean,
it's almost as
again,
addicting.
and I've said this before, I know I have a like addictive,
Mm.
like a not fully like in that zone, but I'm there's certain thought processes there that I have and certain characteristics and traits that are so like addictive personality stuff.
Yeah,
And I've always known that about myself. It just comes out in different ways.
but you probably like dealt with it by like working in these like facilities and stuff
Mm-hmm.
that you catch yourself and you're like not going down that road.
Oh yeah, yeah, for
But
sure.
because this particular one is essentially it's an addiction. It was or still is, I guess, an
Sugar, yeah.
addiction to sugar, and then also these other things that have gluten in them and dairy and stuff like that. It's like those things tend to be like sweets, like breads or like
Those are really the only things that
it's like it's the same thing. It's
my
almost
thing
an
is
addiction to
sweets.
sugar. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just a sweets person, and let's face it. I mean, sweets that have gluten in it are just like,
And all those
mind
things that have
blowing.
like sweets is like milk chocolate. So that also has milk in it, right? And it's got sugar in it, right? And then like sometimes they have gluten in them too. It's like those things go together,
Oh yeah,
you know? So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to watch. It's like how much damage do you have to like it's to the arthritis part when look you're holding your wrist right
I'm
now,
in so
right?
much pain. Yeah,
And in that point when that's when it's like, all right.
yeah. Now I'm
Well,
like,
now
okay,
I've done enough.
I
Like,
gotta. Now it's like, yeah, I
now
can't pick up my kid. I'm like all in pain. Yeah.
all right, last thing. So,
Mhm.
what do I have to say to you when in 6 months or a year from now, you've been doing all the right things, whatever, whatever. You're super healthy, you've lost weight, you're in the gym all the time, right? And then you want to go on one fucking thing and go have that fucking thing. What do I say to you then? What do you want me to say to you?
I don't know. I mean, that's
I mean, do you want me like that? That's my problem because like I either have to just shut up and be like, hey, yeah, she's been good for a year, so I guess she just wants to fucking blow her load tonight for whatever reason. It's not doing herself any good, and the cons outweigh the benefits. But that's what she wants to do, so I should just let you roll. Is that what you're saying?
well, no,
Or
yeah.
you-
Well, so because I've see this is a longer answer, but because I've like gotten to know my body a lot throughout the years with all the different transitions and the gluten and all that stuff. I know like that if I did, let's say, if I were to go like I did last time, like a year, and have everything like strict and no alcohol and blah blah blah, and it was like one time where like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna splurge and have like I don't know a
Cake or
pizza,
something. Yeah,
like
yeah.
a regular pizza. I know that one time isn't going. It's not doing anything to my arthritis or my colitis with that one thing. That I know. Now, if I have more than that, and now it's like the next day, I'm like, oh, I could just have this one thing. And the next day, it's when I have like a accumulation of stuff, when I have it in big, like that's when it really does something. But if it's like one fucking slice of pizza, it's not doing shit to me.
You're also like this is I've said this a couple times in the
But again,
past.
oh, sorry, but that goes along with that addict shit where it's like, right, but then I get one and I'm like, oh my God, this is so good.
I've said this in the past couple of weeks several times is that your every once in a while is way shorter
Way shorter.
than my every once in a
It's
while.
true.
So, and then also you can't even keep track of it. Like I know for a fact that you cheated on your intermediate fasting at
It's
least twice this weekend,
intermittent fasting.
and you don't, and you don't even know when that was. Like even the candy you ate the other night while you're driving to the place,
The fight, we went to a fight, yeah.
I had to just remind you that that was literally 2 days ago. Like you thought that.
Yeah, I have my
See,
concept of time
this
is
is
like,
and this is where I can't like trust. Once again, it's your shit, but like I'm trying to help you. Yeah.
yes, but you also, you have to find balance with that.
Okay, so
That's
I'll
your
let
job.
you, after a year of being perfect and stuff, I'll let you slide 2 times. Okay, how about that? If it's 2 times within fucking like a month or a week, I'm gonna let you know. But
Oh,
if it's 2 times like in like 6 months, okay, whatever, that's fine. That's no big deal. Right. I also, by the way, would love for you to hold me accountable for shit too, because
I have.
this, you know, it's tough because the way that you do it is way fucking easier and great.
Yeah.
It is great in that moment,
Yeah, because
right?
all I do is I say one thing and I'll be like, you said da 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 da, and you're like, yeah, I know, and then I go, okay, and then
Oh no no
I
no no!
continue.
I'm saying
Oh,
the way, like you do that,
right.
but the way that you've been where you just like, all right, I'm gonna eat this, I'm gonna eat that, whatever. That way, the way of like not caring about all the precise things of milk and fucking gluten and all that stuff. That's the easy life. That's easy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy for me because we live together and we're with each other like 24/7, and you're doing it, and I don't want to do it, but like it's there, it's around, and I'm like watching you, and you're doing. I'm like, all right, well, guess I
Let's
could
be
do it more.
clear too,
Now I'm not saying
just
that.
to give myself kudos. I've also been watching you eat at night and have not engaged not once.
Right.
And the other night after the fight, it was like 11:30. You're like, let's get a meal now. I'm
Right,
hungry, and I
because
was
I
like,
was
fuck
high. I
no,
was
man,
really
it's too
high.
fucking late. Like, so like I am still like this is how I already see myself. I see myself pushing in
That's
there,
good. That's good.
doing some stuff.
Yeah, I'm just saying like that lifestyle is easier mentally. So it's easier to flow into that than come out of that,
Yeah.
right? So you know, that's all I got to say about that. But I did want to play this one last thing. Do we
Oh
have time?
no, we really have to go. I mean, we have to
Let's.
make dinner. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
5:44.
We got a second. It's only 4 minutes, and we probably won't even play the whole thing. Do you know David Goggins?
I've heard.
This is the guy
Because
that
you've told me
Joe
about him.
Rogan talks about. He's like,
Yeah.
"You motherfucker, get the fuck up." So
Yes, 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 yes.
so
The
I
motivational. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I just want to play this one little clip here. I don't
Oh
even
my
know
God, it's so funny when you watch Joe's what do they call that?
his podcast.
No, when Joe does him, like when
Oh
Joe
yeah, when he imitates him. Yeah.
imitates. Yeah, yeah.
So this just I don't even know what this is, but I know that every fucking time this guy talks, it's motivational. So
Yeah.
I know you've never heard of him or heard him speak before. So
I heard him speak.
oh, you have.
Mm-hmm.
Self-discipline is everything. If you don't have it, I don't look at you right because I know you're capable of more. It's not discipline so much for me. It's all on you. It's all on you. The self part is what's big. Where you're going to fail and you're going to be in your head, you're going to be saying, I'm not good enough. And it's how you get through that. It's how you get through that on a daily basis when that thing is saying, man, I'm 43, I've done so much. You start to become civilized. The refrigerator gets full. You start making money and you start, I'm not getting cold anymore. I'm retired. And at 40, people shouldn't be playing basketball or football or being in. You start to believe this shit. and it becomes in your fucking mind like there's people who are retiring, at 40-something years old or 30-something years old. At 43, I'm still putting in 100-mile weeks, still doing thousands of pull-ups, thousands of push-ups, because I'm not allowing myself to become civilized. The worst thing that can happen to a man is become civilized. You lose that fucking fight. You lose that. Why the fuck am I doing this shit? I'm good. You ain't good, man. You ain't never fucking arrived. And that's just my mentality. You may have more, but you never fucking arrive. You want to be uncommon amongst uncommon people. Period. We have two voices in our mind. And boy, I know they're fucking true. I've heard them. I hear them now. And they're real. There's that one voice. That voice I used to love to fucking hear. We love to hear. It's that soft motherfucker. That soft motherfucker voice that sleep the fuck in. It's okay. It's that cuddling voice. You want to be hugged and nurtured and all that shit. I said, it's going to be okay. Well, there's another motherfucking voice that wakes you up in the middle of the night. It's that demon fucking voice that whispers in your fucking ear and says, get up, motherfucker. You're not fucking good enough. You gotta work fucking harder. You haven't put enough time in it. It's that voice you want to run away from. It's that voice you don't want to fucking hear. But guess what? It's that voice you need to fucking listen to. Every foot strike that hits the pavement.
No, we could. Yeah,
You
we
get-
could.
you
He's
get the
so
point.
intense.
Dude.
He's so intense.
It's very extreme, but that can be, that mentality can be used across the board to whatever extent that you want to
Yeah,
push it.
I
You
feel
know
like
what I'm
that's
saying?
it's not everyone's thing, but I gotta tell you, I feel like for someone like me, I need to hear him. Like I feel like I need a.
You should listen to a bunch of his fucking
I
shit,
know. I
man.
think I'm gonna start just every morning and just like listening because I need someone to be like, get the fuck up.
He was just on Joe Rogan, and yeah, man, this guy he's been through a lot of shit, but he's figured it out. He's sorted it out.
Yeah.
But he still like lives there, and the way that he explains it, it makes sense. And you kind of, a part of you kind of has to live there
In
and
order
it's-
to keep yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's true. It's like again comparing this to someone who's trying to get sober, right, from drugs or alcohol. I've heard so many times, like in when someone gets sober, right, and they're in sobriety and they're doing all these things. I can't tell you how many times they've said to me, like, I will never forget where I was, like ever, like I will still.
when it was
Meaning, yeah, like when they were in the shit,
yeah,
like
yeah.
fucking like do all that shit. They're like, I am not going to live my life based on that anymore because I know that I'm a different person today, but I'll never forget that. Like I still need that here
Yeah.
in order for me to go, I don't want that shit, like I still have to like remember it sometimes,
It's that
versus forget it.
it's that comfort level. It's like when you that's what I was kind of talking about earlier about like, and my shit was like very like mild compared to what he's talking about. But I'm talking about like clothes and getting comfortable in your like
Yeah.
friend group and all this other stuff. Like that's when you start settling into
Yeah,
that easy
yeah,
life.
yeah.
No, fuck that shit. Get the fuck out there. Do something different. Change your life. Evolve, right? And that's how we'll end this podcast. Get the fuck out there. Get the fuck up. Whatever you've been delaying for the past fucking however long, and you're supposed to be doing it, go do it right now.
Go do it and have conversations with your loved ones. Communicate. Hash things out.
Just did it. You just saw it right in
You
front
just
of
saw
your
it live. That was a
Right.
live thing.
right in front of your ears.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening and stay safe and healthy.
Yes. Love you guys. Bye.
Love. Bye.